morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Radio Works World. I am Casper Moodie, your Champions host, broadcasting live from Pretoria, South Africa. It's been a very interesting week, back into full training after an easy week coming back from Australia, and ready to take on the next challenge. And I'm excited this morning. We have a special guest on the show. Someone, when you set yourself goals in life and you want to reach them, there's a lot of people that crosses that path on your way to that success or on your way to reaching your goal, whatever it might be, that the goal you set for yourself. Positive people, negative people. But in my case, I quickly learned to take the negative people out of my life and just focus on the positive people. And one such person that I came across after about 2-3 years into my triathlon career, not doing it full time yet, and still learning the ropes of triathlon. And I always went to events, and you look at the pros, the top athletes competing, and they inspire you. You want to be like them. And I had the opportunity to start being friends with Wikus, and he just took over and took me through the phases, what it takes to be a triathlete. And it was mind-blowing, the amount of work that needs to be put in. But I was ready. Being overweight, 104 kilograms, losing 35 kilograms, I knew that this is just another challenge on my path. And so I just would like to welcome all our listeners, Wikus Weber.
Hi there, Cassie. How are you doing?
Well, and you?
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, so Wikus is he retired last year, semi-retired. We're going to get him back into 1 or 2 triathlons soon. But he's a ex-top South African triathlete, professional triathlete, doing it for years and years, competing overseas, traveling the world. And I followed him on my path to get where I am now, and I saw all the places that it took him, triathlon took him, and what it can teach you. And it just inspired me. And I remember one race, it's about 4 years ago at Sun City in South Africa. Wikus is the champion of the 11 Global. That's the race, what it's called. And every year he just finishes on the podium, and I would just like to wondered how does he get that far? What does it take to get that far? And I was a very proud athlete as well. And you wanna take from your coach and your experience and just use it, and not really go and ask for help at other people. But Wikus was willing to help me and take me through the ropes. And Wikus, just tell the listeners where you started. When did you start turning professional, traveling the world, one of your best achievements? Just tell us more about your sporting career in triathlon.
Oh, thanks, Cassie. Well, I started with a lot of swimming and running on school level. I was also always part of a swimming team, and I was always part of the cross-country team, and I was always looking for a bit more of a challenge. And then from there, I went to in a sport that we call biathlon, which is just running and swimming, and I've been doing that since the age of about 11 years old. And then I did my very first triathlon when I was 13, and I surprised myself by winning Gauteng Champs as my first race as an under 15-year-old boy. And because swimming and running was in my genes, and the cycling I believe is the easiest to adapt to, and so I won that first race, and I realized that triathlon is my thing. And then at 16 I got selected for my first junior world championships, elite championships. That first race was still it was in Japan. And yeah, ever since then I just got hooked to the sport. I absolutely loved the sport, and I never stopped going to world championships as an elite after that. I managed to win a junior African title. I managed to win multiple under 23 national titles, and I got one senior national title 2 years or 3 years ago. So I was very fortunate, and I traveled the world. And as you said, you learn so many things through the sport. And I retired a year ago, and now I'm teaching. This is one thing that I always wanted to do, is take what I learned through the sports of triathlon and then teach it to kids. And I'm very blessed to be able to be in a school now where I can give back. And I always tell my principal every day that what I teach the kids today, I didn't learn anything through my studies. I definitely learned it through my sport, that self-discipline, that pushing through levels. So I'm very thankful for what I have achieved in my sporting career.
Yeah, as you can hear from Wikus's results and achievements, I still have a long road ahead of me. But yeah, with people like Wikus, friends with Wikus, I'm sure that it is possible, and I am on the right track as we speak. And Wikus is also very involved with the youngsters, like you said, at teaching, and weight loss is also something. I remember lots of times Wikus and myself will be driving together somewhere, and we will be talking about overweight people and how quickly it happens to them, and when do they realize, when do they realize it's now time to make a change. I mean, you wake up every day, you put on clothes, and surely when you start picking up the weight, you should realize that the same clothes is not fitting anymore. And some people just go beyond that, and they let it go too far. And that's a subject that we were talking on a lot. And because it's also with these kids at school, it's also teaching them healthy lifestyle, how to get sport to be a part of your life. Because it is simple. If sport is a part of your life, you will have a healthy lifestyle. And back to triathlon, what it teaches you, as you could hear, Wikus said he was a biathlon champ, he's swimming and running, and he was looking for more of a challenge. And that's what sport does to you. It makes you challenge more in life. You can take on more. And I started training in Pretoria, and Wikus was also a full-time athlete here at the High Performance Center in Pretoria, and we started training together. And track sessions, the fast guys would go, and then the second group will run, and it'll just amaze me about the pace the guys run, and it crosses your mind every time, will I get there? And it's just consistency. And Wikus also one day he told me, he said, you never, if you're struggling, he said, you never give up. You might just slow down, but finish what you've started. And that's the same as weight loss. Finish what you started. Don't think that if you struggle for 1 or 2 months, that's the end of it. You must give up. When you start something, you set yourself that goal and you work towards it, and you don't stop until you reach that goal. And so I started training with Wikus here. We started cycling together. I was privileged to go race an African Cup in Mauritius twice with Wikus, and memories we've made.
Lots of memories.
Good memories. And the things that it taught me as an athlete, as a person. And Wikus knows more than anyone else, I think, in triathlon in South Africa. Not even my coach, I'm sure, knows where I started to where I am now, and what hard work it takes to be a triathlete. Even if you're just a part-time triathlete or a full-time triathlete, it takes a lot of sacrifices and training and discipline. Wikus, can you tell the listeners more about what it takes to be a full-time triathlete? And especially, you know me, what I had to give up, the struggles I went through, and what you've learned from when I started to where I am now, and the inspiration that the guys I've been training with, what they've meant to me in my triathlon.
Yeah, Cassie, just adding on those conversations that we had with overweight people, I still remember us talking, and you always hear on radio stations, and you always see these adverts of people advertising different diets, and you hear of these people going on these very lean diets, having a cup of tea in the morning, one toast in the afternoon, and a piece of steak in the evening, and we were just laughing, because at the end of the day, just the most simplest thing to lose all that weight is getting involved in a sport. That is definitely what I believe, and I know you believe it as well, is just getting involved in a sport, because once you've lost that first 10 kilogram, you get so motivated to lose more, and you get so inspired to work harder and harder and to lose that weight, and then that converts into your normal life. I see it with kids now at school level. They once they start losing weight, they just get more and more focused at school level with their life outside of sports. So yes, it's very important that if you do want to lose weight, that you get involved in sport immediately, and triathlon is just amazing. And Casper Moodie, you yourself is also a perfect example of this. I can just see how your life in general has changed when you got involved in sports. And every time I see Cassie, I still remember seeing him at that first 11 global. He was a bit, in my terms, still a bit overweight, but he got involved, and every race it just got better and better, and every race he just got more and more and more motivated, and that then resulted into having a better lifestyle. The things outside of sport that Cassie does is just phenomenal, and the way he touches people. So yeah, back to the question, what it takes to be a triathlon, it takes tremendous amount of sacrificing. People at teachers that I work with, they tell me now you're part of the real life, the working life, and I tell them, no, you don't know what it's like until you've been a triathlete. It is a tremendous amount of sacrificing. Triathletes train up to 4, even 5 hours a day of training, and then in between that you have to recover. There's no partying on weekends, getting involved with alcohol and the wrong things. It is back to training and working very, very hard, but it takes a lot of sacrifices. But like I said, every bit of it it's so worth it, because that just changes your whole lifestyle and how you approach life then. Because now when you approach life, the world after triathlon, you can't do sport for the rest of your life, but the world outside of triathlon then also becomes very easy for you, because you've learned how to sacrifice, you learned how to give up things, you learned how to dig a bit deeper, and this is then how you approach life, which is just amazing for me in sport.
Yeah, that's 100%. Wikus has summed it up to the T. Triathlon is a part of my life at the moment, and I'm sure it's going to be a part for still a very long time. I started very late in the sport, as with everything. I started late with my weight loss. I started late with my sport, and I'm only reaching success now in my sport, but I've reached success in my weight loss earlier. But Marina's touched on it in previous shows that I started late and I was overweight for a reason, and that's for me to go through the steps, go through the challenges to get where I am now, to inspire others and help others. As in my Champions League that I've just launched, where I'm helping youngsters from the age of 7 and 16 that's struggling with the weight problem, with motivation, with just to make themselves their own champions, whatever it might be. So that's the sport that we do, the sport that we live for every day, and making friends. I mean, friends like Wikus, you don't go out to a restaurant and you meet someone and you're friends. This is special. This is something that you've been walking a road together with. You went through some good times, some bad times, and tough times, but you come out stronger on the other side. And like Wikus said, life after triathlon, where he's teaching now, it taught him so much in life that he can just adapt to anything or any circumstance that comes his way. And before we close off, I would just like to congratulate Wikus. He's getting married next year in March. So yes, he's moving on very quickly after retiring. And
the challenges get harder and harder.
Yeah, and that's going to be probably a real challenge. Triathlon, and then we'll have another interview with him after about a year of married life. Then he'll tell me that it was actually easy. Being married is hard time.
Yeah.
Wikus, thank you very much for allowing us to have a chat with you this morning. I know you at school, busy at work. Really appreciate it. And yes, from my side, next week is my last show in South Africa. Then it's off to London for the awards. Very excited. So from myself and Wikus Weber, until next time, cheers.
Cheers.